It's about that time.
City Views, City Views.
What's happening in your city?
City Views, City Views. City Views, City Views.
You got love for your city?
City Views, City Views. City Views. Oh, City Views, City Views, City Views. Oh, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views. Oh, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views. Oh, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views. Oh, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views, City Views.
And good evening. Can you believe it? We're back after a brief hiatus. And speaking for myself, I am glad to be back. And for my most capable co-hosts, I'm sure they feel the same way. Introducing Mr. Wilbert Bowles, also known as Weebo, and returning to the City View stage after a very long hiatus.
There's just 2 shows I missed.
But you were sorely missed,
It was
Melissa.
3 weeks I was gone. 2 shows I missed.
And obviously, you know where she went on her little hiatus because she's coming back a little tanned.
Little tan.
Yeah, a little tan.
Tan.
Miss Melissa Crofts.
Hello, everybody.
back.
So glad to be back on the show.
She's back.
Great.
Tan and all.
I know. I had my 30th high school reunion down in Palm Beach, Florida. Oh my gosh, it was wonderful.
I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, the 17-year-old in me came out.
Uh-oh.
And my voice is still hoarse from screaming like a 17-year-old girl. So yeah,
Yeah, those reunions can get a little hairy there.
worth every minute.
I imagine
It
so.
was wonderful.
She was acting up, you know.
Yeah.
all the same
Yeah, I have
time,
to say that I was definitely
Yeah.
instigating some bad behavior.
I wonder if she took Parker along as a little
I did not.
bodyguard.
Parker did
I'm
not.
gonna leave Park alone. You know,
I brought Frickin' Frack. My new friends, Frickin' Frack.
I bet you Parker didn't like that.
No, Parker didn't like it at all.
Parker said, you leave me back here in Connecticut, I wanted to go too.
Paul Parker.
Yeah, man. I'm sure we'll hear it from
Paul
him
Parker,
sooner or
I'm so
later.
sorry.
Poor Parker.
So, as always, we want to thank the sponsor of City Views, Toth Insurance Agency. Thank you so much
Thanks, Steve.
for your support.
Thank you so much,
and,
Toth Insurance. Yes.
Helping City Views get its launch going here. And also, our resident administrator, Miss Catherine Pezzi.
Oh, thank you,
Thanks, Ken.
Catherine.
Hi, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Sweetheart. How is Billiam?
Billiam!
Billiam! How is
Billiam.
Billiam?
Bill.
Billiam, I heard he's doing very good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, he's
kind of been out of the loop.
He's being his normal self.
Bill. That's Bill. That's Bill. Yeah, that's Bill.
So, how was everyone's weekend? How did the weekend go?
Good.
Weekend. I know you had a lot going on this weekend.
Oh, Friday up to fireworks up there, the high school, middle
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
It was nice up there.
Yeah, I heard a big crowd
Oh, a lot.
was in attendance for the
Yeah.
fireworks this year.
A lot of volunteers.
Yeah.
And, thanks for the police department, paramedics, the police department, and it was busy. Both
Yeah.
of the chiefs was up there.
That's what I heard. That's what I
Walking
heard.
around, socializing, talking to people,
Yeah.
shaking hands, smiling. What
Unfortunately,
atmosphere.
we got in a little late, so we weren't able to attend the fireworks. But there were fireworks going on after the fireworks downtown. Man, it was like woo, stuff was rocking.
Oh, how fun is that?
Yeah. So good time had by all, it seems.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, the big soccer match, and the women turned out victorious
Oh, yeah.
in their efforts, 2-0 win over the Netherlands. I was kind of surprised, though. I thought everybody would have the euphoric feeling of being world champions, but I guess few people had their parades rained on, in a
Yeah.
sense. But different strokes for different
Yeah,
folks.
they throw it the basketball game. Toronto winning. That's what they throw.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. Now, see, you would bring up sports. See, Melissa's back, so I thought, we amp it down on the sports a
Oh,
little bit.
talk about your sports.
Well,
Yeah.
you see here, yeah,
Got my spoon.
he's got the spoon.
What is this?
The mess, New York mess.
But the spoon. Tell me about your spoon.
Yeah, spoon. I like the spoon.
But see, the spoon is not
I
enough.
didn't know that one. I know that there's all kinds of memorabilia that one
Yes.
can purchase in joyously for their teams, but I did not know, and nor have I ever seen a wooden spoon with a sports insignia on it. So there's a first time for everything.
Here's the problem, though. The Mets don't need a spoon. They need a shovel to dig out from where they are. And it's just pretty sad.
I'm going down with him.
You keep going. Keep going. While I ride high here with my Yankees.
Yeah, I'm going to hang
All right.
with him to the end.
Well, maybe one day. Maybe one
Soon.
day.
I should have my Boston Red Sox hat on right
No,
now,
you
shouldn't
shouldn't.
I?
Oh,
No,
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
You're
That's-
right.
I'm bringing it on next time.
that
I will be bringing it on next time.
Oh, next week?
Yep.
That will not be conducive
Too bad it's
to
going to
the
happen.
Well,
show.
Doug be happy. Doug
That will
the
not
Red
be
Sox fan.
conducive to the show's continuity, Melissa.
I will be bringing it. A hat.
Just trying to make trouble, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Everywhere I go.
Well, tonight's show, I'm really excited, guys. We have a big show for you
Big
tonight.
show. Big show.
We have the owners of the new brewery that's coming on Water Street in Torrington. Matt and Chris Tech will be here. Owners of Big Dog Brewing Company. Woof,
Oh,
woof.
that's the name of it?
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Big dog.
Big Dog. Also, State Representative for the 64th District, the Honorable Miss Maria Horn will be here with us as well.
All right.
And we're going to be doing our normal segment, What's Cooking, with Michelle Cook.
Excellent.
Yes. And before we get started, though, there's a couple things that I want to talk to our viewers about. This Thursday, July 11th, Act Natural and Health Wellness will have a walk/run for your life. Act Natural Health and Wellness, walk, run for your life, and food is a mood potluck in support of World Benzodiazepine Day. And that's a cause that's very near to Pam Pinto's heart.
Very much so, yes.
And participants will walk or run a 2-mile course beginning and ending at Act Natural Health and Wellness. A potluck will be served in the store after the event for all participants who have brought a dish to share.
Wonderful.
So we're going to be hearing from her a little later on the show. She's going to call in and give us an update on, tell us how that's coming along. Also, Miss Tracy Rowe is doing an event on Friday. It's a public vigil to highlight the humanitarian crisis at the border. And she has teamed up with some community members as well as rock star Ronna Justice. And this event will be held at the Nolke Gallery, which is located at that's 15 Water Street. And it's from 7 to 9 p.m. And
PM.
it's open to the public. And we do want to invite everyone out to this very important vigil. It's shedding light on a situation that is getting increasingly worse by the day. And there's going to be speakers. There are going to be some musicians involved doing music. Remember the old folk days, where, you had the folk musicians and they'd come in and they perform and, they would uplift and enhance a cause, which I think is a super idea. Anytime you put music to any venue, it's going to definitely highlight it. But Tracy will be calling in to tell us a little bit more about the event, and we hope that you guys will be tuning in to check that out. So, because of the fact that we have so much on the show tonight, we're going to leave our other segments on the table, so that we can accommodate our guests.
Oh, this is
That's
going to be an
good, it's
exciting
good.
evening.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely
Absolutely
looking forward
will
to
be.
it.
Absolutely
Glad
will
you guys
be.
are here.
So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to bring out Matt and Chris.
Great.
And then we want to encourage you to stay tuned for more right here on City Views.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
And we're back. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of City Views. Here with us this evening, we have the owners of Bad Dog Brewing Company, also known as BBD CCC. Matt and Chris Tech. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
Not a problem, but you guys can't keep stalking me like this, man. I go to my radio show. You guys are out there knocking on the door. Let me in. Come here tonight. You guys are knocking on the door. Let me in. I'm like, you guys are hard. I'm like, wow. They want to really let everybody know what's going on with their business.
Of course. Now, were they on the radio show this morning?
They were on
brilliant.
WAPJ.
Oh, good. And
Yep.
then that's wonderful that then
Yep.
you're on the TV show tonight.
Yep. There you. I wanted to kill one bird with two stones. So
One bird with the two stones. That's brilliant. I mean, wow.
So, Matt, as we discussed earlier today, the excitement is filling the air in Torrington, both ways. Chris is up and raring, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
You're excited about it. This is a family operation, and the community of Torrington, the whole town is buzzing with the anticipation of your opening. But I want you to talk to our audience a little bit about why Torrington.
Well, yeah, thanks. Torrington was really unique. We were searching for about a little over a year for different places. We looked at lots of communities, and it really came down to Torrington welcomed us with open arms. They were more than accommodating. I tell the story, and this is a real story. I sent an email out to Erin Wilson, who was the economic development director, and 15 minutes later, she sent me back an email. The next day, we had a meeting with the mayor, the city planner, and Erin in the mayor's office, talking about what we wanted to do, and what they thought, and where we could go, and ideas for it. You don't see that in a lot of towns. Torrington really wanted to welcome us. Some of the other towns we talked to weren't so accommodating. They just weren't as interested as Torrington was. So it became a comfortable place to start talking to people. And then the whole community.
Right.
When you look at, what's been happening, it's phenomenal. We got involved one of the things we got concerned about was food. You know, we want to be able to have food at the venue and be able to let people relax and have a good time. And so Hanks is next door. So Chris, you know, introduced himself, and we got to know Chris, and he's been pulling us to all kinds of functions. We did the bar crawl for vets on Sunday, and it was great meeting all the people and talking to people. So it's just a really welcoming community, and that's kind of, it's sad, but I think that's kind of rare, and it's kind of unique to this area that really kind of made us feel at home here.
That's so wonderful to hear. That puts an amazingly big smile on my face. It makes my heart feel warm.
It was great, you know. I was telling Jack this morning, I don't sleep a lot anymore with this whole thing going on, you know. So I walk around, and initially it was, you know, what are we doing? I can't believe we're doing this. You know, are we insane? And now it's, can we do enough? You know, now are we going to be ready for this opening? Are we going to have enough to support the town? Because everybody is talking about it. Everybody stops by the firehouse when we're doing stuff, and we talk to them and show them what's going on. It's just an amazing place and an amazing city, and it really it shines. It does.
Well, we have a call coming in. If you allow us just to take this call right quick, we'll resume our conversation right after this. Good evening, and thank you for calling City Views.
Hello, Jacques Williams. How are you?
This sounds like Tracy Rowe.
That's who this is.
Row, row, row your boat. So,
that's funny.
Well, thank you for calling in, Tracy. And we do have a couple brief minutes here. And if you want to take this time to talk a little bit about your event that's coming up this Friday, please feel free to do so.
At this moment?
At this moment.
Okay. Well, we are doing an event called Lights for Liberty in Torrington, Connecticut at Nolte Gallery, 15 Water Street in downtown Torrington. It's under the auspices of a worldwide group called Lights for Liberty at lightsforliberty.org. It is a vigil to call attention to the camps at the Migrant Center and the way the migrant children are being abused. And it's from 7 to 9 p.m. And we are looking for people to come down and speak or to just participate with us. We'll have Say Love, Nate David, Steph Burr. They'll be performing music, and Steph will be showing her artwork. If anybody's interested in showing artwork that relates to the immigrant experience, we would love to have you. If somebody would like to perform or just get up and speak, we'd love to have you. You can reach us at lightsforlibertytorrington@gmail.com. Our Facebook page is Lights for Liberty Torrington, Connecticut on Facebook. If you want to find out more information about us. We're being sponsored by Act Natural Health and Wellness, which is also on Water Street, and they will be selling lemonade and kombucha. $1 of each sale will be donated to RACES, which is a legal group that helps immigrants with coming into the country.
You know, Tracy, I have to give you some credit because you pretty much organized this as your first organized event in about 10 days.
More like 8 days.
Well, who's counting the days, right?
I have a committee, and they're helping me out, and they're doing a good job. Shout out to Rana.
Yes.
At Nolte Gallery.
Go, RJ.
Yeah, she's a big help.
Right.
She's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and we're really, at this point, we really would just love for people to come, but we really, if you have anything you want to talk to about how the immigrant experience has affected your life and you want to come up and talk, we would love to have you.
Well, we appreciate you calling in and giving out and extending the invitation to our viewers this evening. And just one more time, give the contact information for anyone who's interested.
Our email address is lightsforlibertytorrington@gmail.com. Our first Facebook page Liberty, Torrington, Connecticut.
Fantastic.
It's actually Torrington CT.
Torrington CT.
Yes.
Tracy, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to call in and talk to our viewers and give them the invitation for Friday's event.
And thank you, Jacques, for letting me come.
Not a problem. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks, Tracy.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
everybody, Jacques is our host for the event. Jacques will be our MC. So you know it'll be a good show.
You didn't have to give me a shameless plug. Thanks, girl.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye, Tracy.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So, looks like Water Street is popping.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's probably good that you guys are putting your establishment in an old firehouse, because you might have to put out some fires because Water Street's so hot. You know what I'm saying?
That's where it is, in the firehouse.
Yeah.
Oh, see what
Yeah.
happens when you're gone and you live in Lime Rock? You
Yeah.
don't know these little details.
Now, what I love about your operation, Matt, is it's a family operation. And you've brought Chris in, and Chris has this thing for IPAs. I'm not sure where he got it from or how he acquired it. But Chris, talk to our viewers a little bit about your background and your interest in beer.
So my background and interest in beer really, it really actually came from my sister. She was a craft beer connoisseur. She lived up in Boston the past 2 years, and they have a bunch of great breweries up there, and she went to all of them, took me to all of them, and we kind of got into them that way. But a lot of the beers up there, they're hazy New England IPAs, so they're double IPAs, or they're really these really hoppy beers to people that aren't really beer savvy.
Is that hoppy or happy?
Hoppy.
Oh, hoppy. Okay. Just check.
But,
That's hops. They're discussing hops.
But so yeah, it really stemmed from that. But that's my preference. I really like that. My sister, she's more into stouts now. My dad over here, he's more into golden ales and pilsners, lagers, and my mom, she doesn't even like beer. So we kind of get a dynamic from everyone in different perspectives. So
Is she a wine connoisseur?
yeah,
Yes,
a little
okay.
bit, a little bit.
Excellent, yes.
Now, one of the things that you were explaining to me, Matt, about your concept that I love is your community collaboration. You're working with Hanks. You're working with another dispensary out of is it Avon or Canton?
New Britain.
The winery,
New
winery,
Britain.
right? The
Avery's.
Avery's, yeah,
Yeah.
Avery's in New Britain.
New Britain.
Yeah,
New
they
Britain.
do craft soda.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that, because I think it's very interesting in terms of new models that are being created with new businesses and up and coming entrepreneurs.
Yeah, we grasped the concept very early on that we don't really know what we're doing, and because of that, we kind of wanted to
Kind of like
hone
it is
in
on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, kind of hone in on exactly what we're good at, and then let other people be what they're good at. So we knew we wanted to have food at the venue. It scares me. The whole food service thing scares me, and so we talked about it. And Chris from Hanks came along, and we talked about doing a collaboration together, and it worked out. It's going to work out perfectly for us. So they'll be excelling at what they do best, the food part of it, and we'll still provide the beer. And the same thing's true with Sunset Meadow. They have great wine. I know that at least last year they were 101 in the country in terms of wineries.
Yep.
And so great people there. We talked to them. They're excited to have their wine there. So it's really just kind of working together and pulling these people together to let people shine. Like we talked this morning that people are good at specific things, and let them shine. And maybe if we catch a little bit of that sunshine while we're at it, that'll be great. But really let them be in charge of what they're good at, and then we can just kind of do our stuff,
do our part. Basically.
I think the other interesting aspect of what you're doing is you're really tapping into the creative energy that's in Torrington right now with the arts renaissance that's taking place. Now, you're going to have a first floor that's going to be a little more, let's just say, beer friendly.
Yeah.
But the second floor is going to be a a little different. It's going to have kind of a zing and a zang to it. And the fact that you're going to be exhibiting art, I think is a phenomenal idea, and an idea that ties directly into the lifeline of Torrington at the moment.
Yeah, actually, it was your idea when we came and talked. You were the one who sparked that idea of, the first floor is going to have tables, and we have a lot of fire memorabilia. It was an old firehouse, and then it was a fire museum, so there's lots of stuff for people to see and kind of reach out and touch some of these things that just truly are amazing. But the second floor, we were going to do couches and coffee tables, and then we were talking about what do we put on the walls, and talking with Jock, it was, well, there's a lot of artists in the community. We can display their art, and kind of pull them into the whole thing too. It makes sense. It's a win for everybody, and it's exciting and different. And that way it can change and give people, again, the whole thing of letting people shine and giving them opportunities to do that. So it all kind of pulls together. It's amazing how it's all kind of gelling together. At the same time, we're trying to preserve history. So we're leaving the firehouse is on the National Historic Registry, so it's going to stay the same on the outside, new doors, new windows. But on the inside, we're revamping everything, but we're saving stuff. So the old rafters from the second floor, we pulled down. We're making those into coffee tables. Right now, my garage is full of boards that are 120 years old. But so we're making coffee tables out of that for the second floor, big tables, so we can support larger groups. We'll have pool tables, and even for the and I say younger crowd because I'm old, but for the younger crowd, we'll have the Xbox room.
Oh, how fun is that?
Yeah. So and still kind of pulling the fire theme to get together. The first responders they do a lot for the community and just kind of giving back to them. We have the 1939 fire truck. That's going to be fully on display. And then there was another fire truck we bought that was in a crash in Rhode Island. So we're taking pieces of that, and we'll be able to put that on the walls. And for the Xbox room, we're actually going to use the seats from the cab. They actually have the cutouts for the oxygen packs when the firefighters go out. So that'll be what they'll sit in when they're doing their Xbox
Well,
stuff.
isn't that fun?
So it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
So the area where the coffee tables are going to be, is that going to be like a lounge, if you will?
Yeah, more loungy is the idea. Downstairs.
So and that's the second floor.
The second floor, yep. And so we'll have some couches on the first floor too, depending on how everything lays out. But the fire truck takes up a lot of room. So, but it's getting there.
Let's see who we have on the phone here now. Good evening. Thank you for calling City Views.
Oh, hello. Is this Mr. Williams?
Oh, hello, Pam.
What do we go? Oh, hello, Pam. I'm sure What's Cooking doesn't get a response like that.
She gets a worse response.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm feeling good then. How are you?
I'm. You know what? I'm W bad.
WBAD.
I'm WBAD bad.
Awesome. Do you know what that stands for? If you don't, I can tell you.
Well, I know what it stands for. I just can't pronounce it.
It's World Benzodiazepine Awareness Day, and that's July 11th.
Yes, it is. That's this Thursday.
That is this Thursday, and we are going to have a 2-mile walk, Run for Your Life, where the food is mood potluck, starting at Act Natural Health and Wellness on 24 Water Street in downtown Torrington. And this is all to raise awareness of the adverse side effects from prescribed benzodiazepines such as Xanax and Ativan and Klonopin and Lorazepam and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We get the same results, same bad reactions with SSRIs, and that's the serotonin reuptake inhibitor medications that work on the brains and cause adverse reactions such as dementia, permanent dementia. And that's why I'm doing this, because my mom was prescribed for 6 years a cocktail of those kinds of medications, and she now has permanent dementia. So I'm just trying to raise awareness and let people know that there's no informed consent, because if you knew, would you take it? So Michelle was wonderful and instrumental in introducing a bill this past legislative session, but it was killed in committee. So next year we're putting the gloves on and going back up to Hartford, hoping that we can get prescribers to inform their patients of the adverse side effects. So we're hoping that everybody will come out and support us. You'll learn a lot. Food is your mood. So we're trying to teach people that what you eat can either stimulate or calm the brain down before we have to take the next step to take one of those prescribed meds. And then WBAD Rocks is a Facebook group of people who have been injured, permanently injured by benzodiazepines, and they want to support people trying to taper, because a taper can take a lifetime. It's not like an opiate or alcohol where you can actually detox. You can't go to a detox facility and taper off of benzo. It is a very powerful drug that changes the front left lobe of the brain and causes a lot of physical illness. So WBAD Rocks started this Facebook group where they're painting rocks in support to encourage people to stay on the journey, because we lose a lot of people to suicide because the tapering causes a lot of brain damage and physical damage, and we're getting a lot of people that take their own lives because it's really hard to taper. It's really, really difficult because of the side effects. But we're encouraging people to write messages and hide the rocks on the 2-mile journey that we're doing on the 11th. So we're getting them as far away as Texas, Missouri, Montana, and we have our own Torrington Rocks that are participating. They've dropped off some rocks. So we'll be hiding them on the 2 miles for people who do the walk run to find and post to WBAD Rocks and let them know that they've found, and are encouraging others to keep the journey, know their support. There's 80 to 100 million prescriptions written every year, and the people taking them are the only ones injured. The loved ones are injured because now we're left to care for these people, and it's exhausting. I have my mom living with us now, and it's exhausting financially and emotionally, and somebody needs to start informing the people. So there you have it.
Well, Pam, while you're here, please tell people where they can go to get more information or to talk to you directly.
Yeah, so they can call the store at 860-482-8477. The event starts at 6:30. Michelle is coming. She has a proclamation from Governor Lamont proclaiming July 11th as Benzo Awareness Day here in Connecticut. And last year she got that same proclamation from former Governor, whatever his name was. I can't even remember.
I think that was Governor Malloy.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking Alagrosso. No, can't be. Anyway, it's free to register. The potluck is after the walk run, and we have a list of acceptable foods. So if you want to participate in the potluck, you can only do it with the foods that we have listed there. If you need a recipe, let us know. You can email us at info@actnaturalhealth.com or visit our Facebook page, Act Natural Health, or www.actnaturalhealth.com. And we're there to support, to give information. We have press packets we'll be handing out. I have a great list of sponsors. Staples of Torrington printed a lot of the materials for free in support of the event again this year. I have a couple of my CBD companies. That's how I actually tapered my mom, was to increase her minerals with Iodine Minerals, and they are another sponsor again this year. So we have samples of minerals and electrolytes that we'll be handing out. And so we upped her minerals because these drugs just leach minerals like crazy. And so that's how we did a taper, with minerals and CBD, getting rid of the caffeine, no stimulation to the brain because that causes anxiety, the heart race, increases blood pressure. And I just did calming foods. I got rid of the gluten because that upsets the belly, and we have that brain-gut connection. That vagus nerve is damaged with these medications because it causes inflammation of the gut. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. You don't have enough time for me tonight, so if anybody's interested, they can contact me directly, and I'm more than happy to share the information.
Well, Pam, wow. You know what? You rock.
Thanks so much for calling in, Pam. It's good to hear you.
And paint me some good rocks.
You're something else. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
Pam. Thanks for calling in.
So I guess that's just another illustration of Torrington for you. The community that you decided to drop your pad in.
It's just a great community. And it's amazing how everybody pulls together, you know, and really works for a common goal. It's just awesome.
Yep.
You know, and we're really humbled to be part of it. You know that I made a joke with Chris Kelsey about, you know, he brought us into the Restaurant Coalition, and it's like joining a brotherhood.
Right.
You know, I didn't quite expect that, and you know, everybody's willing to help, and we're talking about different stuff and lessons learned that they had, because we're new to a lot of this stuff, and it's just great. The support is unbelievable from everybody. You know, it's just been a great experience.
Well, as the Carpenters once sang, we've only just begun.
Yeah, and you can see it. You know, you can really see that the city's just getting ready to explode. You know, it's already started. You know, it's just everywhere things are popping up and people are out and doing things. It's great. Just a great community.
Well, we look forward to having you back before you launch.
Mm-hmm.
So you can give another round to our viewing audience, and then they can start jotting down on their calendars when the eventual opening will be.
Okay, sounds great.
We'll look forward to that. Chris, thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you.
And you know, hopefully, you know, you'll break the string so you know I can go a little bit. I'm just kidding. You guys can stalk me anytime. So we'll look forward to seeing you back.
Sounds great.
And the best of luck to you, continued success, and if there's anything that we can do here at City Views to help you get things off the ground, please let us know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you've done so far. This is great.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
Very much fun.
So we're going to prepare for another break, and then we're going to come back with State Rep Maria Horn. You guys stay tuned. We got more coming at you from City Views.
Viking, Packers, Viking, Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan,
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
uptown, downtown,
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live
our families,
united.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
The pain will not control us. It will never break us, define us, or keep us still. Because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? Visit the Arthritis Foundation at fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome to Fogels.
Beautiful, isn't it?
You expect options everywhere else. Why not with your medical treatment? Talk with your doctor to explore all your options and find what's right for you. Visit ahrq.gov.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with 64th State Rep District, Miss Maria Horn. Good evening.
Good evening. It's nice to be here.
But I'm kind of jealous because All those times I tried to get you on the show, I was unsuccessful. Weibo gives you a call, and you're here.
I dropped it. Although I did have to reschedule on him a couple times.
Yeah, you rescheduled.
I am now experiencing the
did.
vast geography of the
Okay.
64th
All right.
district. So.
Just checking. I'm like, wait a minute. Did she forget about me?
I won't forget you.
Did she know who I am?
You're Jake?
Jake, the Jake.
Wow, this interview is not going the way I wanted it to. But no, Maria, thanks for coming on the show. It's great to talk to you.
My pleasure.
You know, we followed you last year in your nomination efforts and lead up to your eventual election to the 64th district. And it was quite a race, very competitive.
It was.
But you eked it out. And we had an opportunity to go to Hartford on Connecticut Business Day. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Torrington kind of held it down.
Torrington held it down. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we were the most vocal group in the bunch.
No kidding.
But we got something to shout about, so just let that be known. However, one of the things that I was impressed with your candidacy was how you used your background as a prosecutor to, pardon the pun, make your case. Talk to us about how your freshman year has come so far.
It's been, I mean, I've learned a lot. There's a lot to learn in being a first-year legislature, period, full stop. But one of the interesting things this year is that there is a large group of freshmen. And so there's not a lot of, I can't imagine if I was one of only 2 or 3 freshmen where things happen and you just don't know what questions to ask. We're all in touch with one another. We ask those questions, and stuff doesn't happen without us understanding why and when. That said, there's a lot of information that comes your way, and I serve on committees that have a broad jurisdiction. Both appropriations and judiciary cover a huge subject matter area. So you have to form relationships with people, and you have to do your investigation. And I think that's one of the things we talked about, using my, people think of prosecutors as, on TV you see their work in the courtroom, but they run investigations, and particularly as a federal prosecutor, we really got to develop cases and to dig deeper into situations and figure out what was really happening and what are the real causes behind things, instead of just coasting along the surface and just doing top level things that don't solve problems. And so that's what I'm used to. That takes a little time in the legislature to really dig in, and you don't always have that time.
That's true.
But thankfully, at least it's a 2-year term, so there's more work to do to ahead to dig into stuff.
Now, while you're digging, Maria, did you unearth the divisions between the Republicans and the Democrats? It seems like the gulf is so wide that it's almost, as a citizen looking on the situation, it's kind of disconcerting because there seems to be so much angst. And there was a time when the two sides used to work toward the middle, looking for compromise. And it seems like the environment today is more, instead of looking for that middle ground, they're looking to really appease their base. I felt like, because a lot of people were shocked that the Democrats took the House, I felt like that was kind of the Trump effect.
Yeah, for sure.
But can you address a little bit about the polarization that's taking place in our political environment?
It is disheartening, the polarization, but I will focus on, I have found more cause for hope in the state legislature than in what you see happening nationally. In the state, in Congress, there are 450 people, and from what I hear, talking to Congresswoman Hayes just the other day, it is tough to bridge the divide. There are 151 of us. It's a little easier. I mean, and I tell everyone, most of the offices for the state reps are in one big horseshoe shape on the 4th floor. One entrance is the Republican side and the other is the Democratic side. My office is right at the sort of demilitarized zone. It is surrounded by Republican offices, and I really like that because that means I have conversations with those Republicans whose offices I pass by every day. And even if we're not going to agree on things, if you have a civil relationship with them and you understand that we're all here to try to do what we believe is the good, serve the good of our communities and understand understand that as a baseline and not attack people personally,
Right.
I think there's room to get things done. And I think, for example, on the Judiciary Committee, as it happens, a lot of the Republicans whose offices are near mine are also on the Judiciary Committee with me. We actually did a lot of bipartisan things this year. The 3 gun bills that we passed all had, 2 of them had strong bipartisan support, and the 3rd one had, some. So that's a sea change from years ago, and that's a result of, I think, the leadership of that committee, who made a point to work together. The Democratic leadership and the ranking members of the committee worked together to try to find ways to bridge the gap, and it's people who. It's also the grassroots advocates, honestly, who on that issue in particular.
Yes.
We had, this is my first year in the legislature, but many of the veterans there have said, you'd look up in the gallery when we were debating those bills, and you saw a sea of red and orange T-shirts from Moms Demand Action, from Connecticut's Against Gun Violence. That's totally different than who used to be sitting in that gallery 10 years ago.
Correct.
And that changes the dialogue, and I think that really built a lot of the bipartisan support, because people looked at that and thought, okay, I want to be aligned with that family up there who went through that really painful thing.
So I would hope that as freshmen and you guys coming in together in the numbers that you are, can hopefully have an effect on that dynamic going forward and kind of break that gridlock that seems to be.
Yeah. It is hard, and I don't want to diminish how hard it is, but I
Right.
think it starts with that ability to, first of all, don't attack people personally, understanding that they're there on what they understand is the best of their community,
right.
and have a relationship with them, laugh with them, ask what they're doing over the weekend, things like that. Those seem simple things and superficial, but I think it makes a difference.
I believe.
And the core of freshmen, in the last election, we're mostly Democrats.
Right.
There are 30 of us, and 24 of us are Democrats.
Right.
So it is definitely, that affects we have stronger Democratic majorities, and perhaps that shifts the tactics as well.
Yeah.
People decide they want to be part of things that and then there are, of course, some issues that you're just not, we know from the get-go, that are going to be very partisan issues. And so what happens there is, rather than the negotiation being between the 2 party caucuses, it shifts to within the Democratic caucuses, and there are a variety of voices in the I come, as you said, I had a very close election. I come from a very, I would say a moderate district, but it's actually filled with people on both ends of the political spectrum and a lot of people in the middle.
Yep.
And so, we have people with a lot of different perspectives, which I think is really healthy.
Very much so.
And it encourages a good dialogue and to understand where people are coming from. But there are other people who were elected from very progressive districts, and they felt, they ran on very progressive policy ideas. And so we had conversations within our caucus that, moderated some of the really big ticket items like minimum wage and the paid family medical leave.
Now, in the 64th district, you have a pretty big area to oversee. Talk to our audience a little bit about what's going on with the Sharon Hospital.
Sure, I'd love to. So Sharon Hospital, this is an issue that you're probably, we're all reading about all over the country. Rural healthcare is in crisis in a lot of ways. And Sharon Hospital is a creature of that, and has been owned by various, different entities in its life. And I do strongly believe that it does need partnership, and it would not do well on its own. But we've had some challenges with its current ownership, which up until a very recent merger was all based out of state in New York. And so initially there was a concern about a year ago because the HealthQuest, who owned Sharon Hospital, said they were going to shut down maternity services. And so as a community, we really, maternity services that is mission critical to a community that is aging, and we are really working on all levels to bring in young families. And if you bring in those young families and tell them, oh, by the way, if you have a baby, you're going to have to travel an hour. That's not a real selling point. So this hit a nerve with the community, and you got a lot of people becoming active.
Very impassioned about it.
Really impassioned about it, but then it went beyond just maternity to making sure that we all want to preserve the health of Sharon Hospital. So there was a lot of activism. And a lot of letters, a lot of advocacy, which I think, I'll cut to the sort of bottom line, which I think really paid off. There are a couple things going on. First of all, since then, HealthQuest, the New York-based nonprofit, has merged or is in the process of merging with Western Connecticut Healthcare, which has a very different corporate culture and one that is much more engaged in the community in a really helpful way. And so we see that as a really hopeful sign. But also what's happening in terms of the government, so the process, all these healthcare changes, because of the interest of the state in healthcare, they all have to apply to the state through the CON process, the Certificate of Need process, in order to get permission from the state. And those documents are very detailed, and they contain some very specific promises. But they have been very hard to enforce in the past. What's happening now with the Office of Health Strategy, which is the reorganized part of the state government, is a focus on making sure that those promises in those CONs are upheld. And so I have forged a really close relationship with the leadership of OHS, and they had, for the first time, they had a meeting in Sharon, one of a series of meetings they're going to hold, explaining to the community how that process works, how to use it to make sure that you're holding your community hospital, which is by definition receiving community benefits by virtue of being a nonprofit, in your community. Lives up to its promises, and how to get so the community understands how to make it work, and the government is explaining it to them, and also listening and making sure. So I'm hopeful. It's complicated,
It's very complicated,
and it's going to take a lot of work, and it will never be done. But I'm hopeful that we have a partner in state government that's interested in making sure and that understands the challenges. So
it's a hospital that, because we both live in the northwest corner, it's a hospital that I've utilized for surgery. My mother was there. They basically saved her life back in January. So, we fight as a community to keep this hospital in the manner in which we as the community need it to help sustain our health care.
We really, really, really need it. So, and we're working on actually expanding healthcare in the region in terms of other. Tonight in Canaan, there's a meeting focusing on a new federally qualified health center that we're looking at putting in in Canaan.
Oh, excellent.
So that's really exciting. I mean, so I think there are a lot of approaches to making sure that everybody in this rural area has access to quality health care.
That was my.
It's just so remote out there.
It is.
Yeah, my concern were those CONs too, because I'm thinking to myself, first of all, how are they going to be implemented? And what type of support services do you specifically need in order to make sure that, that happens? As you said, it's very confusing, but at some level, it's necessary to deliver basic services.
And there needs to be transparency. It's a community hospital. It needs to serve the community needs, and people need to understand, see, for example, a strategic plan so that people can rely on the fact that the hospital is intending, things can happen, but is intending to commit to these certain services over the next 3 to 5 years, and so that you can plan your lives. But I had the same question as you about the CON process when I went in initially, and these documents are huge and very complicated. And I read the one from HealthQuest to acquire Sharon Hospital in the first place, and there were a number of very specific commitments in there. And my first question was, okay, well, how do we enforce these? And there's no good answer. Except that I got, Vicki Veltri, who's the head of OHS, had the same issue. Clearly this was in her mind about how to improve that process, how to make those promises enforceable, how to be an agency that is willing to put teeth into those promises and work with the hospitals in order to assure their success.
One of my questions, one of the concerns that kind of like hit me was the aspect of uncompensated care. Is there a function in that, say for instance, the Western Healthcare Alliance that's coming into the group, where they fund, or should I say, underfund?
Well, there are a lot of metrics that they look at in the particularly. I mean OHS focuses on a lot of issues. It's the cost of healthcare to the consumer, and it's also what is termed charity care in this, which is uncompensated healthcare, and to make sure they're watching those metrics very carefully. For example, in the most recent meeting, it came up that the amount of charity care that HealthQuest was providing had dropped precipitously.
Wow.
And so why is that? And the Office of Health Strategy had already noticed that, was on top of it, and was directing questions at the new merged entity with Western Connecticut to figure that out, because that's part of the picture. And that you have to look at, we want this hospital to be sustainable and to be around for the future. So we understand, nurses and doctors get paid, but you have to watch the whole picture.
Well, how does the Affordable Care Act affect all this that's going on, especially when, as we speak right now, the bottom may be taken out of the Affordable Health Care Act?
Well, it's certainly my hope that most recent decision in federal district court was a shocker to many people on both sides of the political spectrum. So it's my hope that it continues to be an aberration as that case is argued on appeal in the Fifth Circuit. However, that's a big problem.
Yeah, and I was going to suggest that if indeed that did go through, wouldn't that just open up just a tremendous problem in terms of the charity and the uncompensated issues?
It would for sure, because first of all, a lot of people are going to lose their insurance. So suddenly, a lot of people that had coverage are not going to have it anymore. And then just don't underestimate just the instability that this brings into the process. That causes a lot of expense. Mm-hmm. That's not just, uncertainty increases expense for insurance, period, full stop. And so those who are still insured are going to be paying more. Mm-hmm. It'll be a huge problem if that ACA gets overturned. So I wish I could give you a better,
I'm saying,
happier note.
That's your job.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Get the checkbook out.
We do need the federal government on this one, so 2020.
Well, I mean, I think if anyone has the capacity, the energy, the wherewithal to deal with these issues, it's you, Maria, because
thank you, Jack.
You have that level of energy that's just, I guess it comes from your prosecutorial background, but you just go after it, And I think that's the type of representation that we need, because you can't lay back and let these issues come to you.
No, you have to be willing to ask hard questions, and you have to be willing to ask hard questions of people who are on your team, mm-hmm. not just people who disagree with you.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's hard sometimes, mm-hmm. because people believe what they believe, and if we're going to get to better solutions, we have to make sure that we're,
on the same page.
On the same page, and have the same understanding of what it is we're trying to achieve.
Well, I think what you also bring to the table, though, is a level of credibility. And I think that's very important today, especially when you're talking about transparency, because I think what causes a lot of angst with people is not being sure if our representatives are being upfront with us. It's like there's always something, that is there. They're not there. So
I'm glad you said that, because there is that sort of level of distrust in government is an issue. I had lunch with an old friend the other day who said, "What's it really like? Are representatives really, out just for themselves, or are they really representing their constituencies?" And I paused for a minute. No, they're really representing their constituencies. Right. I don't know a single one that's out for him or herself. Mm-hmm. That we're going to have lots of different ways to get there, and lots of different tactics, and lots of disagreement. But people really do believe in what they're doing, and that's important.
Right. Well, that's why I support you, Maria, because I think that your heart is in the right place, and even though issues might come up where not me personally, but people may not see necessarily eye to eye on you with, at least they know you're giving it your all. And I think that bodes well for your continued tenure in office.
So good having you on the show.
Thank you.
So glad that you were here. A fellow Northwest Corner and
neighbor.
literal Northwest Corner.
Yes, the Northwest Corner.
Lime Rock, and you're in Lakeville, Salisbury area.
Salisbury, yeah. On the border.
So we thank you for taking this time out. We look forward to having you back.
Thank you all. I accept your offer.
Thank you. Well, another show has come to an end, folks. I can't believe it. This show is just sped by.
Yeah.
But rest assured, you can catch us back right here next week. If it's happening in Torrington or in the region, you can catch it on City Views. We'll see you back. City Views, City Views. You got love for your city? City Views, City Views.